Monday. It'll be Monday when I upload them. Today I have my friend Parker about the Babe Society event, and today we will be talking about the My You program run by Variety of Alberta, Canada. So if you want to hear all about that, stay tuned. Make this video subscribe if you're new. Make sure you know how Instagram with all the way down here if you don't know that. And if you can't understand what I'm saying, please turn on your subtitles. That's why I have them. So, Arthur, do you want to introduce yourself?
So, hi everyone, my name is Sasha Isabella, and I am 22 years old, and I'm from Alberta, Canada, and I have spastic diplegia. It took me 2 seconds to think of that, but yeah, spastic diplegia, cerebral palsy.
Awesome, I did not realize you had cerebral palsy like me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. And then a cerebral palsy warrior. Yep. So my I know you work for a program with Variety on My You program. Do you want to explain the mission of that program?
Yeah, so I work for Variety, the children's charity of Alberta, as the Just Like You facilitator. And our mission for that program, I would say, is to provide kids and all people, honestly, with a more positive lens surrounding disability and things like that. And we love to promote inclusion with our program as well, because as you know, within the community there are lots of stereotypes and assumptions around people with disabilities. So I feel like the Just Like You program has the ability to break that down, which is wonderful because the kids get accurate information, and anyone for that matter that gets to see this program, it's facilitated by a disabled person, so the information becomes more accurate, which is something that I love about this program. And our program runs from kindergarten to grade 8.
Awesome. Yeah, when I heard about it, I was like, wow, that's amazing, because I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think we have one here. And that's one of the main reasons I started my YouTube channel, is because people who, I only have a physical disability. And when I was, in high school, people did not understand that there was nothing mentally wrong with me. I just needed the extra assistance, and because they thought I was mentally disabled, they did not want to put the work in, or they would take pity on me. And I thought they had that wrong information because of my internet. My internet is filled with wrong information, or they might be hearing it from the word of mouth, because people don't know how to address people with disabilities or reach out. So I thought, why not put my YouTube channel as a reliable, almost like a documentary of a murder with a disability.
Yeah, and I think That's awesome because there are many people with disabilities and various disabilities for that matter. So having more variety within the people that we're able to see, whether you have CP or a spinal cord injury, I think different voices allow a lot more people to feel seen and validated within the community, which I think is great.
Awesome. And I have always talked about on my channel how there needs to be more upbringing disability education. You need to bring up your child with disability education. And there's not many programs that do that, but the program that you help with does that. So I'm really happy to hear there is a program out in the world like that.
Well, it makes me happy that I can facilitate this program because when I was going to school as well, I was almost like a diamond in the rough. You didn't see kids with disabilities or kids with CP for that matter.
Right.
You didn't really see that. So I am just glad that I get to share this with all kids and all the staff at the schools that I'm at, and they get to have conversations with me and we start a dialogue, which I think is really important.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Based on what you have seen when it comes to disability and students, do you think we are making progress towards a more inclusive world? Why or why not?
Oh, for sure. I do think we're taking steps to become a more inclusive world. Um, some are big steps, some are small steps, but we're making progress, which is a wonderful thing because that means as we get older and as kids grow up, they'll see more people like them or in similar situations. So I think, yes, we are making progress. Like I said, some of it is like baby steps and some of it is huge. But I do think we're getting closer to inclusivity.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. When it comes to my public accessibility, I think we're doing wonderful on that, and on the right pathway. But I do think disability education needs to be more prominent at a young age and in school districts.
Yeah.
Yeah. In your opinion, what are some ways society can become more inclusive for those who have disabilities?
In what way do I think society has become more inclusive when it comes to kids with disabilities?
Yep.
So I think they're starting to recognize that we are there, and you see a lot more ads. Like, you guys have Target, we don't, which makes me sad, but a lot more ads in representation and things like that. And now there are lovely children's books that are out there and more playgrounds that are inclusive playgrounds so the kids can play and have fun. So I think, yeah, our society is becoming more inclusive when it comes to kids with disabilities. And I think that's very important because as a child, that's where it begins.
Right. And I don't know if you tuned in on Thursday, I think it was the National Mobile Accessibility Day, but with the robot, but someone was taught, I forget what it was, but their accessibility workshop, somebody was talking about how they work at a school that doesn't have accessible playground. And I know he's working on getting them one. But yeah, we're definitely coming a long way with that.
Yeah, which is great because the more inclusive we can be, the more accessible things become, and it's kind of like a ripple effect.
Right, and also the more disability we see, the better. People will pop looking at us like we're aliens.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. Okay. What is your biggest piece of advice for people who want to either approach a person who has a disability or want to be held with them, but
I
do
would
not
say
know how?
to the non-disabled person who wants to maybe approach us or become friends with us is treat us the way you would want to be treated, right? That's what
Yeah,
it comes down to, is because
yeah,
we're all human on the inside. We all want to have friends and want to belong. So just treat us like you would any of your other friends. And yes, things may be different. One friend may use a tool like a wheelchair to help them move around, but that doesn't mean that you have to treat them any differently when it comes to disability. Does that make sense?
yeah, I definitely agree because I been in situations where people want to be my friend and they talk to me like I'm a baby and I'm 20 and I may be tiny. I'm 4'8" my height, but I sincerely understand you. And honestly, when people do that, I feel more offended than than willing to be their friend.
Yeah, and like I have been in that similar situation as well, unfortunately. And I think that comes from the assumptions that people have about people with disabilities.
Right,
That just because we have a physical disability, our cognitive function is like affected, but
right,
that isn't always the case.
right.
So that's why I say, when in doubt, treat us the way you would want to be treated.
Yeah,
If you wouldn't want someone speaking differently to you, like a baby or anything like that, don't do that to the person that you're talking to. I know mobility devices can be a bit intimidating, but honestly, it's just the way that we get around and the way that we can be independent.
right. And also, don't talk to the person that we are with. People
Yeah,
do that too.
no, for sure. Because I've had that happen to me as well. Like, I'll be out with a friend of mine and they'll have a question for me, but they'll be asking my friend, and my friend's just looking at me like, are you going to answer that? Or like,
Right,
what's going on here?
right.
But yeah.
Definitely. And my last question is, what is your biggest piece of advice for parents who want to teach their children how to interact with people with disabilities?
I would say my biggest advice to parents who want to teach their kids about disability, and they're like, oh my God, there's so many resources. Like, where do I begin? Because I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to hurt anyone. I would say the biggest piece of advice is start with books, like children's books, and kind of go from there, because now in 2021, I almost said 2020, now in
Mm,
2021, there are children's books to help explain disability in and of itself, and that's where you can maybe start. But a thing to remember, especially when it comes to parents explaining disability to kids, is that my biggest advice to you would be, remind the kids that you can still treat them like you would anyone else, right?
right,
They may just use a mobility device, and that's perfectly fine, but they're still able to have fun with their friends. They may not move just like you, but they have this tool, and you need to treat them like you would anyone else.
right. And another thing is, if you're out in public do not, when the kids want to wonder about it, do not put them away. I've seen that happen so many times.
I've had that happen too. And like I always say that if you have a question for someone with a disability and let's say it's your child and you want to veer them away, don't do that because 9 times out of 10 a person with a disability will answer your question
Right.
and are more likely to just be open and honest with the kids because we are aware that until a certain age, kids tend to not really know what their filters are, which is completely normal. And I don't mind educating a kid about the fact that I use a wheelchair and the fact that I'm disabled, and that's okay. Because a thing that I'd like to remind people of, if you have a question for someone with a disability and just like you get to ask or answer questions and you get to say yes or no, so do we. But if we say yes, then you can go ahead and ask your question. But if we say no, that does not mean you are rude or that we are mad at you. That simply means that we may be busy or we don't feel comfortable talking about that. And that's something that needs to be respected. That was a tangent, but
Okay, that's really important. I always think about that in public too, because whenever I see that happen, I will go up to that parent. I'll take it upon myself, and I will have what I'm doing if I'm not incredibly busy, and go up to that parent and be like, excuse me, did your child have and
yeah, no, and I think it comes back to again those assumptions and stereotypes that exist within the community, and that's what makes it hard for people. But when people start to realize that we are just like them on the inside, we want friends, we want to have fun and things like that. We're willing to have conversations, but also we ask that you have an open mind as well.
Right, I definitely agree with that completely. And I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. If you did, like it, subscribe, no power offer any other comments that you may have down in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye. Thank you, Arthur, for being on my channel.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye. I'm gonna stop.